How many of you have plagiarism statements in your syllabus? So what does your plagiarism statement say?
0 credit for the assignments for anyone involved, and possibly, if it goes further into our student conduct code, reprimand, dismissal, it can go anywhere just about.
Okay.
Those are cases of blatant, you know, and so unintentional and other mistakes, that's a separate thing, but there's that range.
So you have the warning, right? I used to have that all the time, and then I was annoying my daughter on the ride home from looking at a college campus by listening to Alice's Restaurant, because she hates that song, and I like to play it to annoy her on long drives in the car. And you all know Alice's Restaurant? Right. So there's that scene, right, where he's on the Group W bench. Remember, he's on the Group W bench, and the sergeant comes over and says, "You got to fill out this form." And the sergeant starts talking, or you know, Guthrie's talking about the sergeant. And you will fill out the form. It's got 4 parts, 47 parts, 47 you will now, and then you will be shot. And that kind of reminds me of plagiarism statements sometimes. It's like, you will, and if you don't, and you're going to get fired, and you're going to get hijacked, and you won't be able to graduate, and you're going to flunk, and then you're going to tell your mother, and your mother's going to come over and beat you up, and then your father's going to talk to you, and you sort of lay out all these consequences. And, you know, meanwhile, on the other side, you're trying to get your students into being successful in college. You're trying to welcome them in. You're trying to make them comfortable. You're trying to make them open to you. So you've got this sort of dichotomy going, because we have this thing that plagiarism is bad, and it is, and that you want students to not do it, and we don't. And so you've got this stick-carrot approach that sometimes doesn't work. And for me, it became a real confusing mess, because Peter Elbow talks about embracing contraries, but I'm not really good at that. So what I ended up doing as a sort of a first step in changing the tone so that it's easier for people to find voices was I changed my plagiarism statement. And I think it's here. Well, I'm going to go here because it's easier for me to find it here. I created a blog post for this presentation. And I'm just going to scroll down to the link to the So talking about plagiarism, this is the syllabus strategy. This is what I recommend, not verbatim, but taking the time to think about your syllabus. Because anybody been on a blind date? Nobody's been on a blind date? Ever been on a date where you wish you were blind? You know, you sit across from the person and you're just realizing that they don't know how to chew or something. All right. Well, I've been on blind dates, and one time, you know, it occurred to me that the beginning in the summer, you know, before the semester starts, and you're refreshing, you know, and you're working on a syllabus. Writing a syllabus is kind of like a blind date. So you're going to have however many students come in. You don't know what they look like. You know what you'd like them to look like. You want them all, you know, Brad Pitt on this side, Angelina Jolie on this side, all happy, attractive people. They're all from Lake Wobegon. You're getting the Lake Wobegon class. So, but you picture this thing where as you're writing your assignment, you picture what's going to happen when students read it. I'm going to give students this assignment, and they're going to read it, and I'm going to get these essays that are these wonderful evocations of what Raymond Carver means. And you're not picturing what you end up getting, but you have this sort of idealized sense of things. And a syllabus is, when you're writing, it's like that, but a syllabus is also a hypothesis of learning, and it's also a contract. It does a lot of things. It helps you structure a class, imagine what you're teaching, but it also is the document often that sets the tone and tenor of the class. It becomes, if it's a detailed syllabus, your agreement with the student on what's going to happen. So because of the importance of the syllabus, I changed my syllabus approach. And here's where I had the thing from Arlo. So up on the screen, I've highlighted some of the text. Intentional plagiarism will not be tolerated. Any student plagiarizes another work will automatically fail the course. In addition, Emerson College will, you know, that kind of drill sergeant approach. And if you see the shape I'm in, you know I couldn't be a drill sergeant. And I can't wait to have grandchildren just so I don't have to do any disciplining at all. Well, I can wait. My daughters are young, but you know, I can't wait. So then I switched it, and I started just chatting to students. And I made it a longer session. It's several pages on it. And I wanted to diffuse the situation the way George was talking about, acknowledging that there's learning mistakes and that those are going to happen. And in fact, if students don't make mistakes in my class in learning, then I'm not giving them the right assignments. If I'm not pushing them to make mistakes and to change what they're comfortable with and to do new things that require them to learn and to get better, then I'm not writing the right assignments. If I come in and students do brilliantly and all get A's, I have failed them. It's not that I'm a brilliant teacher. It's that I didn't challenge them enough to struggle. But it's easy enough for first-year novices to struggle. So we talk about the term plagiarism and it being both technical and social. Remember when Doris Kearns Goodwin got caught with a passage from the Fitzgerald and the Kennedys, and it wasn't properly cited, which is what it boiled down to? You know, what is it, like a 1,000-page book? Who knows how many thousands of words? And she had this one passage, and so she was accused of plagiarism, and she could not accept the term. She wrote an apologia in Time magazine saying, you know, I made mistakes handling sources, or mistakes were made, to use the passive Nixonian voice, but didn't want to admit to plagiarism because of the connotations of that term and how it's not something you want to be associated with. So we talk about that here. And then I try to put what I want from students in terms of behavior, not in terms of definitions. If you say don't plagiarize, you're not telling students what you want them to do. You're telling them what they don't want to do, and then that doesn't give them as much guidance. So I use do's and don'ts, and mine are different than yours might be. Don't cheat, don't lie, don't steal. You know, I took the first couple out of the 10 Commandments, because those are generally accepted and they're short. You know, thou shalt not, I contracted. Don't misrepresent others' work as your own. Don't go to places like schoolsucks.com, Evil House of Cheat, Term Papers Are Us. I put that in there so students know that I know about these sites. Don't make up fake interviews. Don't think that by copying something over and changing every couple of words, you've put it in your own words, which is actually a misconception. If you want to have an interesting discussion with students, ask them to write definitions of plagiarism at some point. You know, don't give them the syllabus. Say, well, you know, a lot of things are going to happen in a first-year course. One of the things we will talk about is plagiarism. What's your understanding of it? You know, what is plagiarism? And just see what they tell you. See where that gets you as a beginning conversation. This one is one of my favorite. This is one that comes back from my days as a student at the University of Hartford. I graduated high school seconds before the internet started. The internet started in 1992.